Hello and welcome back to the Let's Backflip show. That's not the intro I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do it again. Hello and welcome back to another Backflip happy hour, which is kind of like our Let's Backflip show podcast. I'm Ryan Fring, a creative director here at Backflip, and joining me as always, we've got John, the cobbler shoemaker. Say hey, John.
Hello. Hi, I'm Ryan Fring, and this is the Let's Backflip show.
That's why live is so great.
Wait, no.
I hope everyone loves live. Actually, I hope everyone saw our live video yesterday. That was pretty great.
Yes.
That was John's whole idea, and he perpetrated it. I just happened to film it. But I think it turned out great. There was that one moment where Scott was a little afraid that there was smoke, but then he saw that there was smoke being poured into his room, so he laughed. So that was a lot of fun. You should check that out. It's probably down below. But that's not why we're here. We're here to drink and talk about behind the scenes. So let's introduce our other two guests who are with us today. They're with us every day, but this time they're actually on the old happy hour Let's Backflip show cast again. So down below we got Jeff, our main editor, or I don't know, lead editor, whatever, and
Hi.
Andrew down to the the other editor. How's it going, guys?
It's going great. And we're totally not in the same room.
I also cannot totally hear you at all.
Nope.
Um,
You mean through the wall, right?
through the wall, exactly. Like
In
it
case anyone
normally
wants
is.
to know, Ryan is right through this wall. Right
This
here.
is, yeah, in this wall right here. This is how I sometimes know when things are going wrong. I'll hear Jeff screaming through the wall or through the ceiling, which is so much fun. And Andrew's right there as well.
Screaming at me.
You'll never guess which wall I'm in.
Yeah, we actually got a mezzanine, so we put John up there in the
Yep.
string room.
That's where all the guitars go to.
Yeah. All right. So what are you guys drinking today? I'll go last this time. Let's start with well, all right, we'll start with Andrew. And there's never any pressure to drink for anyone watching or playing, but we definitely do encourage it.
This one's called Carbon 4 Outer Space. It's in the style of one of my favorite childhood movies, Space Jam. Very clearly, I used to rent that movie every time I go to the Little Chute, Wisconsin library with my mom.
Did you pick that because you love Space Jam or because it looked amazing?
No, it's an IPA. I like IPAs a lot.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. Jeff, what do you got?
I am drinking Fantasy Factory because I like cats.
And hops. Another IPA from Carbon 4. So, John, you better keep up this repping. Are we mad repping?
Boy. Oh boy. This is it's not carbon 4. This might even, I don't know what kind of repping is happening today. So I told you about this. It's called All Out from Athletic Brewing Company. It contains less than 0.5% alcohol by volume.
Yeah, buddy.
Ooh, you're going for the high stuff today, huh?
It's a extra dark. I've tried the extra dark. It's pretty good. It's a little thin, like tasting. But there's an IPA that I have over there too. Maybe I'll break that out later. And it's really good. It's like mind-blowing. It's a non-alcoholic IPA. I wanted to try these two because like I really like having something to drink in the evening, but you know, some evenings you're just like, I don't know if I want another beer or
Yeah.
some alcohol or something. So anyway, I wanted to try them and it's kind of fun. I mean, it's in the realm of trying out any of the craft things.
Does
And
it
this is
taste
like
terrible? That's the main question.
no, that's what I was saying. The
Oop,
IPA is
I lost you
like
there
it's
for a second.
the IPA is fantastic.
Okay.
It's alarming. How you're like, what am I getting from the other?
Yeah, that's great. I was thinking about dry January, but it's mostly just like mostly dry.
Yeah.
Just reducing some of my drinking in the evenings, and I'll drink a ton of clarb, a ton of sparkling water. So I guess that gets us to me. I am drinking Chuhi. This is a super hard seltzer from Carbon 4 because you ain't bleep if you ain't reppin' yo. So this one I think has
John,
like
I'm sorry
9%
you're gonna
alcohol.
have to leave the live stream since you're the only one not drinking a carbon 4 beverage.
I think someday they'll have an NA, so a non-alcoholic. So
No,
that'll totally work.
I'm I'm just drinking it because I wanted to try it. Here's the other thing. I'm going on a retreat this weekend in Green Lake, which I think is owned by Baptists, and they don't allow any alcohol there. Maybe I could bring this. We'll see.
They're like, how much is in there? 0?
It's
Yeah.
closer to 0 than 5.
I think you still do
Yeah.
have to be 21 to buy NAs because of the whatever 0.1% or
It could be.
very little percent.
Carbon 4 really should make an NA, but it needs to be spelled out. It needs to be ENAYE. And that's
Yes.
their non-alcoholic beverage is NA.
And
Zach and Ryan, if you're watching,
it's
we got to make that.
could
That'd be
be-
awesome.
I don't know why that made me think of Forrest Gump. Jen, eh? And then you
NA.
just-
Oh my gosh. That'd
And
be
is it
so
a beer-
good.
Could a beer like a beer bottle sitting on the park bench, a la the Forrest Gump poster? then?
Yes. Oh my gosh. We just designed it.
Yeah, this is how they come
Anna,
up.
And
with
Design. Start working on this.
Oh, that's so good. All right. Well, beer is not why we're here, but it's certainly one of the reasons that we come together. So if you are drinking something at home, share with us because I've got this new system. I can post stuff down below like that. This is Jeff. Woohoo! Can't wait to talk VFX. Well, at some point, we're going to get there. But yeah, that's a cool new system that I'm using. So please do post and we can bring you up and answer your questions live. This should be super interactive. We're super stoked because we spend so much time and there's been so much ideation going into our Christmas video, Backflip to the Future. And if you haven't seen it yet, oh my gosh, check it out. It's down below. It's all around. It's on our website. We advertised it for like 3 weeks straight. So
Some will say it's our best Christmas video yet, written superbly.
I will say it's our best Christmas video yet.
I will not say it's written superbly.
Written well.
Well,
Take that for what you want. It's certainly my favorite right now.
Just fine.
Nice. This is a nice piece. But it's fantastic. It's apocalyptic. It's got time travel. It's got special effects. It's got all of our old Christmas videos. It's got us kind of like as future selves. So let's maybe give a little preamble of how we do Christmas videos and how we came to this one. So we'll start with John. How do we work on our Christmas videos? Like, what do we do? How do we come up with these ideas and all that jazz?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, I mean, a lot of times there's inspiration that comes at some point during the year when we're just riffing on some goofy idea in the hallway or maybe in the doorway of the edit suite or wherever it might be. And a lot of them are just kind of come from maybe inside jokes or just stupid things we thought were funny. And then we try to make it accessible to our audience. A lot of our audience know us pretty well, so we can they're in on some of those inside jokes. Some years the concept just kind of gets floated out there and somebody jumps on it and volunteers to write it or put it together. Other years, like this year, we actually had a pretty organized process and we pulled the whole company into the conference room, sat down, pitched our brainstorm ideas, and then we kind of got into pairs or teams, and we each took a shot at making, kind of writing up a treatment of that concept, got together for another meeting and pitched them to each other, and then we chose the one that we liked. So that was pretty fun to do it that way this year. Yeah.
Yeah. There was lots of just diverse ideas too. And I think this is the first time that Hannah and Emily got to participate in the ideation. So, and you may see these in the future. We had Rube Goldberg machine, which we're like, there's no way we can pull it off in the time frame. We had Lifetime Christmas special style, which after filming all this, we're like, maybe that would have been a lot easier.
I actually have watched a lot of Lifetime Hallmark Christmas movies this holiday season,
nice.
and I realized halfway through editing of this one, like, oh, we can make a really good Hallmark Lifetime movie now.
That would be so much fun, honestly. And like John was saying too, it kind of goes like, if somebody has an idea, they can run with it, and then it kind of becomes theirs. Like last year, I've been wanting to do the singing one, and Nintendo kind of came up, and that just worked out. So last year was one that was kind of near and dear to me. Jeff has kind of helped write or led writing several of them. I don't know if one of those is special to you, Jeff. Maybe The Office or
the Backflip Alone one.
Oh, Backflip Alone. Yeah.
Will always be
and
my
Max.
personal favorite, because Max and I just
That's right.
ran with that. I still need to find the original script, but I'm pretty positive that was originally a 35-page script before we went, okay, that's everything. Let's tame this down a bit.
Yeah, that's how it kind of always is too. I think this one, what was this one, like 18?
I think the first draft came in at like 19 and a half pages, and then the draft that we ended up going with was like 17 and a half, 18 pages.
And how long was it? Was it that long, or was it like 13 minutes?
It's, what did it end up being, Andrew? It's like,
I think I have it
14 and a half minutes.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah,
I think that also speaks to, just the level of description, and then the witty quickness of the dialogue, because it's not slow dialogue.
Right. And I mean, in the script, if you look at the script, there's a lot of description, and it's only because I had it in my head as to what this needed to look like, or what it should look like, and how it was going to work with older content, older footage. So a lot of it was me describing how exactly it's going to, or like where it's going to work, or what we're actually seeing in those bits. And I kind of always knew, like, it's going to go by fast. It's going to play faster than you read it. But still, I'm happy that we knocked off like a solid 4 pages just by the pacing of it.
Yeah, and this one was especially fun because I think there were several ideas that kind of got pulled together, and 2 of them were apocalypse, post-apocalypse, which is maybe my favorite genre. So I was super stoked about that. Like, from the first one we've done, I've always wanted to do something post-apocalyptic. And then time travel, which got in like the VFX, which made it really, really fun. And
which is always something that I love. I love time travel to death, and I will always make time travel stuff. I don't care.
I think we also do try to be pretty topical. So like this year, I guess it's a little dark humor, but the apocalyptic sort of theme, just the way that everything has just been kind of colliding this year, and then the idea that we'd have to go back and try to fix things. But in previous years, although the medley was borrowed from a few years prior, one of the ideas was there was some like Nintendo Switch related stuff. There was like the Super Bowl idea that we were talking about. When we did the musical, it was kind of just a random idea, but it was also like off of like, it wasn't that long after Hamilton, was the Hamilton craze and
something
like
fun
that.
we wanted to do and had the talent for.
Yeah.
So then this one came together, and then Jeff, I know you and Andrew kind of took off and ideated some, and then with that process, essentially you wrote a script and then came back, and you, me, and John sat down and kind of reviewed, and that was an interesting process too, because maybe we could post this too, like your original script and then the script we finished with, like underneath the video, because there was fun things that came out. Like when we're looking at things and things are confusing, like no one will ever know that there's an additional timeline that you had created where the villains, you and Max from Home Alone or Backflip Alone, actually stole all of our equipment, and that was potentially the timeline that we were in. So like
Right.
super crazy stuff. That's awesome.
I basically need to draw out what these timelines are, because there is like 3 alternate timelines that are interskewing and like where things connect to what. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to post this real quick too, because this is working. Let's see. Oh no, there it is. So Hannah in our office is working on commenting. So thank you, Hannah. Comments are working. Everything's good. Okay. So the script meeting, that was so much fun because there were so many things like that where you write in such a connected way that we had so many questions. And one of the things that came out of that discussion was the confluence of Maxes. Because I think there was 2 scenes that you run into Max, and one scene later that Max came to the future. And
Yep.
I was confused, and I was like, okay, so now we have all these Maxes in here. And you're like, wait, no, we only brought one back. And then all of us, we were like, oh, what if? And like that moment was so unique and so special because you had written it in a way that got us thinking, got us just being creative. And then there was that moment of, kind of discovery, like, oh, this would be hilarious.
Yeah, and it honestly, it changed the entire ending. Like the last 2 pages of the script got changed, because originally it was supposed to be that you brought the troll back with you as well. So the troll was going to be there, and then one of the Maxes was there, and then it was like, well, we don't need the other troll, and the idea of having 3 Maxes just seemed like, well,
Oh,
duh,
so
of
good,
course
yeah.
that's how the ending needs to be.
Yeah, it just made sense in so many different ways, which is great because I think that's why when you see these very simple films that are Academy Award winners, I'm trying to think of the one. What's Jennifer Lawrence and is it not
Is that
McConaughey? What's
was
that?
Was that Winter's Bone, or is that not the
No,
right
no,
one?
no, no. It's the nice one where they're both dealing with. They're both dealing with. I don't remember much of it, but I remember watching it. They're both dealing
The
with Silver Linings.
Was it Silver Linings
Yeah,
Playbook?
yeah. They're both dealing with
Hunger
some
Games.
mental issues, and it's just super sweet, and it's like a moment in life, and it's very simple, and you're like, well, these are simple, why would I think something has to be overly complicated?
Right.
And even though we do things in a very complex manner, when we hit on those ideas, it's like, well, duh, this makes sense and is a good idea, and I think that's what can really resonate with people.
Agreed.
Yeah, no one wanted to jump in. That's
Sorry.
fine.
There was nothing I could join with that.
So Andrew, we haven't gotten much from you yet. What was this experience like for you? And then after that, we'll actually jump into kind of a breakdown that Jeff created, and we'll watch through that.
I was excited from the get-go. I was assigned one of those other pitches. Basically, it was how the COVID stole Christmas. We wanted to be the name kind of stuck, but the concept didn't. And the whole time I was rooting for this time travel video in the first place.
I don't think anyone liked how the COVID stole Christmas
No,
idea.
I love
Which I
that.
am partially for. I was one half of the people who came up with that, so I am well aware.
No, I 100% love that idea, and I thought the rhyming could have been so on point and so memorable. So let's do it next week.
And then, a secondary effect to really getting behind this time travel video is I knew it would kind of require some cool VFX and be a lot of fun to edit and bring in old footage from other Christmas videos. So I was super pumped for this to come through. And I think I am listed as like a story contribution. I think the one idea I pitched was bringing, and we'll see it when we play back the video. Hopefully people watching have seen the main video already. But it was bringing Max from the conference room and trying to explain how Max got into our musical video. Because I think it's hilarious how he's not mentioned.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. That's maybe one of my favorite parts in that in the whole thing is that.
And I'm like, we should explain how Max just randomly shows up in this video, and he must have time traveled from another time, and that's why he's there. That's the one thing that I'm very proud of for sneaking into the script, and I'm glad people enjoyed that a lot.
I will say this. He is not giving himself nearly enough credit because I write well by myself. I can write well, but I write the best when I bounce ideas off of other people.
Mhm.
And I can sit and I'll just sit and I'll write these ideas out, and then I'll get to a point where I'm like, I don't like, should this happen, or this doesn't make sense, or what about this and how does this feel? And I bounced more ideas off of him while writing the script than I usually do. The only other person I bounce that many ideas off of is Max when I write with him. And he kept having so many good opinions and thoughts and ideas and moments and jokes, and it even went into the editing process. We were still doing it while editing, like little tweaks of timing and changing, like, well, what if we had this there, or what if we did this little moment, or let's add the sound of the bell gonging when Hannah disappears, which is just a funny little extra side
Oh,
gag.
it's so great. Yeah, it's so subtle too.
Yeah, so that's why he got at least a story credit on that. Like that's without saying.
Yeah, and jumping on that, like I remember just hearing you guys joking and laughing and talking, and then you guys would be like, "Oh, we had this great thought in this," and so yeah, I think you're being extremely modest, Andrew, in your contributions to the story.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But it was so much of Jeff. If bouncing ideas, it was like a game of racquetball, and I was that wall.
Hard, rigid, and not very flexible.
Exactly.
So let's see. I'm gonna flip over to this now.
So this is the three screens. So what we did is because there were so many visual references and callbacks and like little like connections to our previous videos, we thought it'd be a really great idea to put into a single video. In the upper left-hand corner as you're watching it, that is going to be every time there's a movie reference, every time we're directly lifting something, every time we reuse footage from the original Christmas videos, like that's going to be what that box is. That section will show you exactly what we're referencing. The upper right-hand corner of the screen is going to be the edit of the Christmas video, but without any of the special effects. So it has no color, no no reframing, no cropping, no green screen removal, no nothing. Because we realized while editing it that, not to toot our own horn, but some of the visual effects are done so well that there's some moments where you don't realize it's a green screen. And we wanted to make sure people could see, like, yeah, that's a green screen. That's a green screen. That's a visual effects shot. And then the middle is going to be, or the middle bottom will just be the final piece as we released. So it might seem like it's a lot going on all at once, but it's not really. It's kind of just a fun thing to bounce your eye between to see how much, what the references are and how much has changed from rough to final.
Right. And I was just informed by one of our friends, I don't know, Emily. Thank you, Emily, for that I was muted, but that's okay because you explained the whole thing. And also, before, I just gave mad props to Andrew for all the conversations that they had.
Because we didn't need to hear any of that. It's fine.
No, it's great. They would constantly be talking about script and story, and then they'd come back to us, and I'd be like, "Hey, we had some thoughts and ideas," and it was awesome. So he deserves a lot of credit for that too. Okay. I don't know that you guys, Jeff, John, and Andrew will hear anything. I don't know that the people at home will hear anything, but that's not important because we'll be talking over this the whole time. So Jeff gave you the breakdown there. Let's go ahead and get started here. Let's see if this plays. Yeah, I love too that you're so nerdy that we make the opening sequence like exactly the same. So good.
You gotta. I mean, I'm a huge Back to the Future nerd, so you gotta nail that.
So that's cool. Looking at the raw edit and the final edit, how much color is actually on there? Because that initial scene. I mean, it looks pretty great as shot, and then you guys add some lens blur and stuff into that, or some lens flare. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So for your a very early color pass of this, I was messing around with a lot of lens reflections through that are built in through DaVinci Resolve, and it became a little bit too much as you kind of go on through the video. So I just kind of wanted to have that happen during the first couple shots
Mm-hmm.
and kind of disappear. It kind of gives just kind of like this epic anamorphic kind of feel to it. If you scrub back even just a little bit right before that door opens, you're going to see, I believe it's like some light diffractions even that were added in post to that door opening. And it's actually, I thought that was kind of a nice little touch that you don't see in the original, but it only happens for like that half a second when the door first opens.
Mm-hmm.
If you're right there, you see the little hexagons kind of off the corners there. Really subtle stuff, but I didn't want that to play through the whole film. I just thought it was kind of neat to see early on there, and then there's just a little bit of a creative look there, but it's not too in your face for this beginning shot because I think on a camera it just looks really cool by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this is kind of a happy accident too, because the look of it, we're definitely going for something over the top, apocalyptic action movie, anamorphic Michael Bay lens flare and stuff. But then Jeff, when he was putting it together, it was like, hey, look at this. In Back to the Future, the first shot, he's opening a garage door, and then he's like looking at this like, pretty whatever, pretty amazing looking truck. And I was like, oh, we've got this garage door opening, and then there's this like Jeep adventure truck in the background. So there's like a tie-in that was sort of just accidentally there.
I love that too because this year during the summer we watched all three Back to the Futures on our garage, which was fantastic. And I mentioned it to you, Jeff, because I know you're a fan, and just talked about it and pros and cons and things like that. So I was super stoked when you came up with that
Just
idea.
a little bit of a fan. Just I only have like an original movie poster from 1984 when the movie came out. Just 85, sorry. Just original animation cells from the TV show that was in the early 90s. Yeah, not a huge fan.
Yeah, right. So I'll keep playing here too. John, I did not see your Skype chats. I heard them, but if I flip to it, I think it will come up on screen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right. If you Slack it to me, I have it up on the other screen. So, okay, this is just great. Like, that's amazing. We purchased a font, but I love it. It's so good.
I tried. There's a bunch of free fonts on the internet for the Back to the Future font, and I tried using a bunch of the free ones, and I'm like, you know what? Because of that nitpicky stickler in me, I'm like, I can't. There's this one. It's not the 100% screen accurate one, but it's the best one that's out there. And I'm like, it's going to make it look the best. And so it's like, yes, there we go. And then I spent the time to actually do the design mock-up and the little light sheen that happens on it and the beveled edges. And it's not perfect. The spacing between the top line and the bottom line is a little off, and it's not as curved as that one, but it's good. It's good enough.
And the title is just, oh, come on.
We debated about changing it to make it be a Mad Max style opening graphic, because it kind of did feel like maybe that's what it should be, but we couldn't get Backflip, because Backflip is in every single one of our Christmas video titles. It's always something backflip thing. It's always that. And when we're just like, no, it has to be, and we even debated changing the title, but it's like, it has to be Backflip to the Future. Like, it just has to. That would be such a missed opportunity for a Christmas video about time travel to not be called Backflip to the Future.
All right. There is no audio for those who are watching. There's no audio for me either. I have it turned off over here because we're going to be talking over the whole time. If you do want the audio, you got to look down below. Okay, let's go back to show and tell. There we go. All right, now you should be able to see this. Before, these guys were not able to see it. There's so many moving parts here. I think my computer's going to blow up, but it's great. They should be able to see where we are in the video now as well as I play this. And when this whole room just catches on fire, it'll be great. This was such a fun scene, by the way.
Yeah. Interesting to shoot. I mean, I know that was all you guys, but just the specificities, that's not a word, but how the amount of detail that had to go into, like, well, where's the camera setting? What do we actually shoot? What's the angle? Because it's a giant circle that I think we only ever cut on the other side of the circle when it's you, Ryan.
Yes. Yeah.
You and Luke.
Yep. And that was great because John and I have, different ideas and different ways of doing things we directed. And this is one where we just argued until we figured out, okay, how do we solve it? And the resolution was, let's just own it and flip the whole 180. And it totally works in this regard because we stay on the 180 on one side, so you can kind of see where everyone is, you understand. And then when it goes to me and or Luke, I think, which I don't remember if he's here later, but it just works because we can flip that side. And this is another great joke. You should talk briefly about this, Jeff.
Okay, so starting in It's a Wonderful Backflip, which was our second Backflip Christmas video that I was a part of after the Carol of the Bells one. It's the one where we're all sitting in the conference room and we're like throwing out ideas for what the Christmas video is going to be. Max and I wrote the first draft of that script, and we at one point we were going to make a Medea reference, or a Medea, like a Medea's Family Christmas, or whatever. Like there's the Tyler Perry character that he's got like 1,200 movies of. That was like John was gonna say, like, it was Medea's Family Christmas is like his favorite Christmas movie, and I'm like, I don't think enough people, this is my idiot brain, I don't think enough people know who that is, or may not get it. I'm like, let's do Jingle All the Way and let's make it be Sinbad, because in my head I went, no one's gonna know who Medea is, but let's reference a 90s era comic that hasn't done anything in almost a decade and a half.
Yeah.
So that was the first gag. And the following year when we did Backflip Alone, because we had referenced Jingle All the Way, when we were writing the scene about Grouchy Pete, Max and I were like, well, what if Grouchy Pete got mad because somebody taped over his only copy of Jingle All the Way? So this started this for no other reason than just we find it funny. It started this ongoing gag that every Christmas video we have a reference to either Jingle All the Way or Sinbad in it. That's it. There's no other reason behind it than just we thought it'd be funny.
And did you mention the Mandela effect? Did you say that?
So
okay.
When we got to this year, so so the Mandela effect, for anybody who doesn't know, that's which I feel like a lot of people do, but it's this effect where there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people remember being different as a kid. Stuff like Curious George had a tail, or the Monopoly Man, the Mr. Moneybanks had a monocle, or
Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain, not the Berenstain.
Yeah.
And it's all these little things that people are like, they will swear up and down, like, no, it was this.
Absolutely.
And then when you actually look at it, you're like, oh no, it's never been that.
Yeah.
The monocle was actually Mr. Peanut. Curious George never had a tail. It's always been Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
And it's this whole, you can get into like the side, like the deep dark reasoning behind it. It's all supposed to be like it's a glitch in the Matrix, or there's alternate timelines that are all merging and whatever. But one of the other big ones was in the 90s, and actually my fiance swears by this too. In the 90s, there was a movie starring Sinbad called Shazam, where it was about a magical genie. Now, there's a 90s movie starring Shaq called Kazam.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
That came out, but people swear there was one that starred Sinbad.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, and there's articles, you look it up online, you look up Sinbad Shazam movie and you'll find it. But there's all these articles about it that actually existed, and that fed into the Mandela effect.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things when I started writing this script, the first thing I thought of after the original opening scene was that Andrew, or actually I think the original script it was Ryan that did it, but it was Ryan that you did it. You handed it to Andrew and he gave it back to me. But I'm like, because we need to establish we're an alternate timeline, the best way to do it is to have something that obviously doesn't exist in our timeline, but does in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew, and this also works twofold because it also, you get my Sinbad reference in. Andrew hands me back my copy. Of course, it has to be my Blu-ray copy of Shazam. Oh yeah, hold on. So I forgot. So I made the prop, which is I made a Blu-ray case. There's actually a back to it with a whole bunch of text on it as well. That might be a little blurry, but I actually made a full Blu-ray copy of the faux movie Shazam, which does, if you look, it does use the Kazam poster. If you look it up, that's actually Shaq's body with Sinbad's head on.
That's so
but like
great.
I drew the logo by hand to get the other letters into it, and yeah, so basically that's the prop that that Andrew hands me. But it's a subtle tiny little nod to be like, we're in a different timeline, and here's Sinbad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm hoping that maybe in like another 5 years of doing these videos, Sinbad will actually be in one of them, and that'll be the end all be all.
Yeah, I'm sure he's out there.
I don't think he does anything. The video that we're using as the reference was what, like 2 years ago. The website College Humor made a video that was like supposedly like, hey, we found a clip from the movie, and they actually got Sinbad to like film this like little mini scene. So that's from a few years ago, but they made it look like somebody taped it off of TV on a VHS tape. Like they put fake commercials and there's hiccups, and yeah, I love that video. So I'm like, of course I have to use that just to continue to perpetuate this lie that Shazam actually existed.
Yeah.
So if you're watching next year,
please.
Yeah.
All right, we'll continue on here. I'm just gonna be delayed in my video because I'm running so many different things. That's fun. You can see the boom in that one shot. The color is great too. Talk a little bit about the color. I know, Andrew, you had a lot of opinion on that.
So cropping gets rid of like a lot of boom. You're going to see a lot of boom in this, first of all. The color correction, I tried doing something fans myself, but in the end, Magic Bullet looks stole the show. It was click and drag sort of ordeal that worked perfectly with our footage. And the preset was called Nerds in Space. That was used for all post-apocalyptic shots. There's more color for other areas of the film, but for this section, it was primarily just that Magic looks and then a little vignette on top of that as well.
Oh, the broadcast has been paused, Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's back.
My computer's like screaming to a halt with all this stuff that's going on.
It's getting interrupted. External camera.
Yeah, I can try that. Let's see. Here, you guys say something really.
Maybe.
Magic Bullet looks. We haven't used too much of it, actually. A lot of the presets are super like extreme, and I know you can dial it back. You can. There's a range from 0 to 100, which you can put it on. I think during this video, just cranked it all the way up to 100, more or less. just just to really sell that super extreme post-apocalyptic sci-fi look.
We'll talk about how you edited in Fusion Resolve.
This is the. Oh, go ahead.
We were just thinking like the fact that I wanted Andrew to talk about the fact that this entire video, except for the handful of VFX shots, was edited entirely inside of Resolve because we've kind of moved over
That is
to
true.
using DaVinci Resolve for everything. Even some of the VFX stuff.
Yeah. We have used Premiere since the beginning of time, and I think in the last 4 months or so, we kind of made the shift to DaVinci Resolve, and pretty much, yeah, all the coloring is the thing that sold it, at least for me, using Lumetri within Premiere. It's a little difficult at times, especially to do secondary color correction, and we'll get to that later. I changed the color of Max's shirt, and that's something that would have been really difficult in Premiere. But Resolve has made everything super easy. The biggest learning curve was using Fusion for any kind of VFX work, and a lot of the VFX work is still done in After Effects. That's just because, well, Jeff is really great in After Effects and could really get those time travel effects done in the time frame that we had to make this Christmas video. But there is something a little later that I'll show you with Fusion, which is built into DaVinci Resolve for our Rat King Scott shot. That'll be really fun to see. But editing in Resolve, I mean, you can change any hotkeys you want. They make it a lot easier because you can just kind of grab an intersection of a clip and it'll give you 3 options. You don't have to press any hotkeys at all. But we really like using it, and I think we're almost fully transitioned over to it. There's only a few times we'll use Premiere After Effects we'll use a lot, but Premiere pretty rarely we'll have to go back to that.
Yeah. The one thing just to keep in mind is that the timeline for post on this video was what? Just shy about a week and a half. From the start of editing to rendering off the final pass of the video and having it out was a week and a half. There was 27 visual effects shots, which was done. Like, that's all I did. Andrew was cranking away on editing the entire video, and I spent that week, that 1 week before Christmas, just working on visual effects shots and the titles and like cleanup, whatever. But otherwise, it's the entire thing. This 15-minute video was done in a week and a half with 2 days of filming.
Yeah, it is quite impressive. Now, it wasn't accidental. We knew we had that timeline in front of us, and part of what helped, obviously, was all the work ahead of time, preparing things. The fact that you had everything like outlined and figured out, okay, we're gonna, I need this type of shot so I can stitch it into this background plate, things like that. That made it great for shooting, so that there was only one spot where we ran into a lot of confusion while shooting because we hadn't really planned how to handle the one VFX shot, but all the other ones were just like, here's what we need to do. Lighting goes there. We got to match this thing, Yeah,
that was the one thing about this particular script that I think that's probably the most I don't want to say previs stuff, but like preliminary work I've ever done any kind of a script or short film where I, while writing it, had an idea about like, well, where could this person show up in this scene? And it would be great if we could get them in this bit. Okay, well, can we do it? So like I went back to the original footage and I looked through it and I tested stuff out and I found ways to make it work. And then I wrote the script around using those ideas. So then that way I'm like, no, like John said, like I knew things were going to work if it was filmed like this. And it's insane. Like I've never done that, and now I kind of just always want to do that. And I guess that's what like kind of location scouting could be to some degree. But I also feel like that's stuff that you tend to do based on the script, not write a script based on the location.
Well,
but
I think so. This is, you know, it's a little bit of a tangent, but since we're vamping anyway, uh, I think it's kind of the way that you can achieve something really amazing with a small scale indie production. You have to go in a little different order, or you have to balance a few other things um, into your writing. So, like, I would often do that, like write based on a location or based on somebody that I knew was going to be in the thing, or maybe some costume they had, or some goofy prop they had, or maybe a track of music that I had that I knew would work really well. Because when you don't have an unlimited or a huge budget and a massive crew of people behind you, you don't always have the luxury of just writing anything that you can imagine and then be like, great, I wrote this script just like all, full creative license. And then you start looking at the logistics of it and saying, we can't we can't do any of this. We can't pull this off, not in this timeline or.
Yeah. And that's how I used to write scripts back in high school and even to my early days of college. And then I started getting too out there with stuff and being like, let's just write something for whatever. We'll make it work. We'll find a way to make it work. But yeah, my first feature length script that we only got 40 minutes of it filmed and is on YouTube. Find it. Um, but that one was we had a farm location, and it's like we're going to film at this farm location. What can we do here? And I kind of forgot how to write and how to structure a film that way. That actually got done. So like this was fun for me because it very much so was kind of a going back to how I used to do things. But I definitely didn't, because I knew we were going to have a time crunch. I definitely did not want to write something that was going to be impossible for us to achieve, because as I've said, I'm nitpicky, and if it's not perfect, I don't want to do it.
Mm.
And I wanted to make sure that this was going to be perfect in my eyes. And yeah, there's one or two little things here and there that I wish I could do different, but it's solid, and I think it turned out very, very well, and hopefully it made filming easier on you guys.
So you're gonna say it's perfect? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's 98% perfect.
I am back. You guys can't see me. Hopefully you can still hear us. So John, keep monitoring that. This is the joy of live. What ended up happening is all the things that I'm running on this one computer ended up taking up too much memory, tons of CPU, but too much memory apparently. And I think when I was recording, I ran out of hard disk space. So that was a part of it. I turned it all off, deleted stuff. And I think you should be able to see on Skype, you should be able to see my video over here. So we'll get going on that. We'll crank a little bit. Obviously, the troll stuff is fantastic.
Yep. Troll comes in like Quantum Leap because that's an established
Facebook
thing.
can see you, Ryan.
Yeah. What?
Okay. Facebook can see you.
Yes, I should be back. You guys won't. You'll just see the video.
Gotcha.
I think that'll help with my rendering over here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is live, folks. So please do comment below. And Joe Fulton, thank you for your feedback. I saw that and I was trying to fix things. We missed the Terminator scene, but that was awesome. It was so similar. Like I can scrub too a little. But when he comes in, that is so awesome.
Also,
I had
very
Luke figured
coincidental,
out.
the cardboard box that he's carrying, like that was an accident, right?
Yeah, we didn't realize we knew Cyborg Luke. That's all in the script. It was literally Cyborg Luke, whose right arm is like covered in electronics and has a red glowing eye. I think is all that I wrote in the script. And I'm like, because I wanted Luke to figure out his costume, and he ended up coming up with what basically looks like the Terminator. And the cardboard box was a happy accident. And we're like, oh yeah, it's totally the first time you really see the Terminator with John in T2. And it was like, oh. Awesome. What a happy coincidence.
Let's see. I'll keep
The time
going.
travel devices. That's a pretty fun little invention that Jeff and Luke threw together.
It is no joke. This right here, I have it right because I keep all the props. This right here is a coupler for a vacuum hose. um, this this gray part right here is the hood of a camera lens, like an old like DV camera lens. Um, these are just wires from a computer part, a computer cable that we had one of 1,000 laying around. This metal piece is, I don't even remember what it's from, but it was some sort of like some sort of disc from some old hardware computer, not computer part, but from like some tool or something that Luke had. And then on top of it is just an LED light that happened to fit perfectly in this little hole inside this metal plate. So, oh, and then to top it off, that is this top part is actually just a reusable plastic wine cup. And everything kind of fit like it was meant to be put together. And we're like this is perfect because now you can hold on to this and you can press the button to turn the LED light on is underneath here. You can press it with your thumb and the entire thing lights up. And it was just such a little we like Luke and I spent maybe like a half hour just going through boxes of spare parts, and that's what we came up with. And it's such a cool little light because then you have something practical like hitting the actor. And Luke built 6 of these, I think, and only 2 of them actually turn on. And this is the original one that we built, and this is the hero prop. So it's every time you see a person holding it in a close up, it's this one. Every time it's in a shot like this wide, I think maybe I'm holding the hero one, and then everybody else is holding like the kind of chintzy cardboard mock-ups.
Yeah, I think these are things people don't always think about. Ryan, I don't know if you heard it, but while you were scrambling, getting yourself set back up, we were talking about indie film production and just how, you know, it requires more creativity, but you can still pull off really cool things. How would you do it on a major movie set? They would just build one for every single person that worked well. But we have limitations, and so you got to work a little bit harder. But it's like put the hero one in the shot each time he's handing it to the individual people, and it turns out because you're assembling the world from just shots if you can keep track of all the details.
I guarantee that's how it's going in Hollywood as well. They're like, oh, we got to go fast. We got budget and we can only spend it a little bit on this, and only one works and the other 3 do not. And so we have to pretend like there's 6, but you only have 4 and only one of them works, and it's going to fall apart when you shoot it, because that's definitely what happened for us. Here, let's see.
But it totally didn't fall apart like 12 times. There's totally not outtakes of people. Actually, in John's shot, I fixed it falling apart in his hand. That's one of the visual effects shots later on.
Oh, really? Those are the best too, because people have no idea about them.
Yeah, when he leaves from his scene from his traveling back in time, spoilers, it breaks in his hand, so I fixed it so it didn't break. We'll talk about that later. This scene you have to talk about. This one's all Andrew, wherever Andrew is in comparison to me.
Down below.
Yeah, I was very passionate about working on what we like to quote the Rat King Scott shot.
Real quick, for the record, the script solely said we reveal Scott sitting on a mountain of skulls, on a throne on top a mountain of skulls and bones. That's all I wrote.
And you nailed it.
And yeah, I can actually show like an original concept I had. This is before I like actually paid attention to the script. But I was
so glad the other editor or the editor behind this was like, I'm not going to pay attention to this script.
Yeah, I was coming up with some concepts and working on my I suppose you could call the wide shot a matte painting. but I can share that screen if you want
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Go for it. Yeah, that was funny too, because like when you did come up with that concept, I was like, oh, that's different. Maybe they talked about something else. So,
Is this the sewer?
all right, here we go.
All
Let's
right, can you
see.
all see my screen
In
here?
just a second. There we go. We can see it now.
So this is kind of what you're seeing here is a node structure in this is DaVinci Resolve, and this is down in the Fusion tab. This is where all of the VFX work is done. Um, I kind of taught myself this pretty quickly. I was really excited to do the shot, so I'm like, oh, we'll figure it out. Basically, everything you see in this final uh, composition here is this last node. This is the media out node. I won't give you a quick, I won't give you like a huge crash course here. And I don't even know if this is the right way to do it. I'm going to be honest with you, but each of these little branches coming down is a new addition into this comp over here, and they have to go into a merge node. And they
Andrew,
all
if that's
come
if
out.
that's the wrong way to do it, I don't want to be right.
Sure. But you can see each of these is a new component. So this is the sky moving in the background. This is a pile of bones. This is a second pile of bones that holds Scott's trading laptop. Let's see if we're able to see any more elements here. The flames that you see kind of like in the background. You'll see his throne, and sometimes there's effects like shadows applied to it.
Can you
Yeah,
pause there just a second, real quick?
yeah.
My streaming's getting crazy. So